We are streaming. Top of the evening, everybody. Chris McDonald on a Tuesday night, the 25th day of March 2025, 32525. We're so grateful to have everybody, and we are always honored to have new guests. We've actually, I don't want to call her a new guest. She is, I've been on her, we did an interview together, but I think this is your actual McFiles debut.
I was on. You interviewed me when the book first came out.
When the first book first came out, we did. We sure did, and we played that. But we'll call it your first and a half appearance because I remember that interview. But we're glad to see Angeline Marine with us tonight. She is the author of A Souless Nation, and I'm going to let her tell you about an offer that she's going to make you tonight, and one that I hope you take advantage of, and we'll have her talk about that in a minute. But truthseekersradio.com is the website. Angeline, before
truthseekersradioshow.com.
Radioshow.com. I knew I was going to mess it up. I'm horrible. I am just absolutely ridiculously horrible.
Yeah, and the book is not Souless Nation, it's Souless Society.
A Souless Society. I will get this right on my own show. I will not hear the last of this when this is over with tonight. Let me get that fixed. Souless Society. We will fix it on the screens. But anyway, it's good to have you tonight. All jokes aside, I really mean that. Thank you. And for those of you that don't know, she is part of K-Star Media, and she's sort of our producer that works behind the scenes every day from 2 to 3. And we've had a ball on there. To my knowledge, nobody at K-Stars had to have therapy for 2 weeks and 2 days of McDonald being on the air, but that is something that remains to be seen. Buddy, it's good to see you. Country's going crazy. I know that President Trump has turned a lot of things around, but you wrote this book last year, a year and a half ago, at a time where country was losing its soul. I'm not going to say and declare that we have found it yet. There's a lot of spiritual forces that are still over our nation tonight that are not good, Angeline. But I think that we're turning a corner. I don't think Trump's going to save us. I think that he can lead us in a correct path. If anything, what he's doing tonight, and he's got to keep doing this. This cannot be just a flash in the pan thing. He's got to continue to give the church freedom and to clear the runway. I've always looked at him as I got a dear friend over in Nashville, Jason Miller, and he works for an airline, and he directs those planes at night, but he actually cleans the runway before the planes take off. He has to make sure that there's no obstacles in front of the planes. And I just look at with Trump, I just think that's ultimately his call right now, is to remove the obstacles of faith and obstacles at the church. If there is anything, the church is in front of them to be free to do what they're called to do. He's got to do that, because I think that's ultimately his call more than anything else right now. The country will fix itself over time politically, but spiritually is a whole different ball of wax. That's up to the church. That's not up to Trump. People need to realize that tonight, and I think they would sleep a lot better if they did, because we're not looking to Trump to save us, but he's got to lead us, and I think he's done a pretty good job for 2 months and 2 weeks.
I think, though, people are getting back to the, he's back in and now we can rest again. And I think that's the wrong thing. I think we need to, like you said, be aware and do what we need to do as the body of Christ. And like you said, the Lord is laying his path out, and he has started to walk it. I don't know that any of us know for sure what is going to happen at the end of his term or by the end of his term, and what's going to happen in the next term. I think it was you today that I heard talking about AOC. Mm-hmm. That's scary. That's really scary.
Well, the Dems have come out even this week. There was a poll that was basically taken in the Democrat Party, and they were asked who best represents your values right now. And it came back. She was at the top of that list. That Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, the bartender from New York, is right now. I think she's more popular than Kamala Harris. I think she's more popular than Michelle Obama. I know there's a lot of people that think Michelle is lurking in the wings. I'm not one of them. I do not believe that the Democrat Party is ready to put their chips back on the Obama train. I just don't. AOC's young. She's in her 20s. She's popular among the youth. She is as communist as they can be. She is Marxist as they can be. But, in your book, Souless Society, I got it right that time. In your book, you point out that one of the things that has torn at the soul of our nation is this push by the global elites to bring chaos, to bring us under this communistic rule, to bring us under this Marxist rule, to control our media, to control our thinking, to control religion, control faith. She fits the bill, buddy. She fits that bill. And let me tell you this, we underestimate her. I know people are snickering. We had people snickering last night when it was brought up. But I wouldn't be laughing a whole lot, because I think that this country, if we don't get our soul, Angeline, if we don't get our soul back and catch a glimpse of morality and get a moral clarity to us, it's a possibility AOC could be our president.
You're
in
right.
some self-drug deluded world.
She doesn't have to be smart. She just needs to be where they can manipulate her, train her up. And honestly, I haven't seen a lot of her lately. It wouldn't, they're probably now got her in training, getting her ready for when they start to roll this out. So it wouldn't surprise me. Obviously, she's not the smartest, but there again, I don't even think she was popular in her own district. I think she got placed back in that role. I don't think she won that last election.
I don't either.
Because the media I saw, those people were very upset with her. So I think she was an Obama creation. I think he's the one that gave her start. I don't know who her handler is right now. But Chris, I wouldn't be surprised. They are going to go for a younger, more charismatic type of person. I believe.
And I don't see anybody else out there. I think that Jasmine Crockett is so toxic. I don't think they would touch her with a 30-foot pole. I think Jasmine is auditioning for it with her rhetoric and her firebombing, calling Abbott Hot Wheels tonight. It was we talked about it today on the show. It's the most disgusting thing you could say about somebody in a wheelchair. But especially as a governor of Texas, look, I'm not a Greg Abbott fan. I know he's done some good things, but I've talked to people in Texas. It's at best mixed in Texas, their opinions of Abbott. But to make his disability, and the lady Abbott, Wendy, not Abbott, but I can't think of her name, who ran against him this last time, she was a liberaloon, and she sort of made smart aleck remarks about his disability. That's the Dems. And it sort of speaks to the bottomless pit that the Dems are in right now, when you've got to turn to a bartender, a communist bartender, to lead your party right now. Because I'm watching that, and I'm sure you have too, that they, all the polls that are out there, they're saying we don't have a leader. There's no leader of the Democrat Party. There's no de facto voice. There's no de facto person. Chuck Schumer is trying to soothe the Democrats around, saying, I'm still here, I'm not going nowhere, I'm still the majority leader, minority leader of the Senate, and, we've done all these things to stop Trump, and Jamie Raskin's out there. And then you got Bernie Sanders, who don't even identify as Democrat, he's just an independent communist. I mean, and speaking of the appearances, they were together this weekend in Las Vegas, and it was a complete joke watching them on that stage. You had a 20-year-old and this 80-year-old man that's old enough to be her grandfather, great-grandfather, trying to convince the country that they got a better vision for the world and the country than Trump's got right now. But that's the state of affairs. That's a soulless society, buddy. That's a soulless society.
Right. They're just pulling for anything now. I mean, they're desperate.
You think they're desperate, or you think they're serious about this? I'm not so sure they're desperate.
I think they're totally serious about it. But I think they're desperate, and they're trying to just see what will stick. They thought they had it with Kamala. Obviously, that didn't work. And AOC, AOC is not. She's been in the making a while, because I read a book that was put out on her early when she first got elected, and she was one of the community organizer people. So I think what they do is they have these groups of young people, and then they go and they target who are they going to approach. And I think that's how these kids get into this. And this one you were talking about earlier today, what's her name? You were just
I want to say Wendy Williams, but she was a blonde, and she was I think into real estate in Texas. And
the one that made the remark about
Jasmine Crockett. Crockett, the black lady.
She's probably another one. But if you're saying the ridiculous things she's saying right now. Remember when AOC first came on the scene? She was a loose cannon.
No, that's true.
So now this one's a loose cannon, but now AOC has been there. She's in her second term. And so they are molding, manipulating, getting her ready, forming her the way they want her, so that she'll be able to speak a little more eloquent or whatever, or be able, definitely to speak better than Kamala did. But
I got to ask you this question. Though. Is this country that plain stupid to even consider this? And don't answer that too quickly, because I can't answer that so quickly that I'm not so sure. I wished I could say absolutely not. But I can't be certain, Angeline. And that's what scares me about America tonight. That's when your book resonated with me, because you see, it doesn't matter, ultimately, it doesn't matter who is in power. If your nation is soulless and the country's soulless, it don't matter who's on charge of you, does it?
No. And I mean, that's the end game.
Whether
or not puppets like her know what the real end game is, I doubt she knows. I doubt she has a spiritual bone in her body. But as we know, this is not a political fight. This is a spiritual fight in the physical.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. going to your book, but you were with me Friday. Let's change the subject, get off AOC, and I want to go to Trump and the country right now under him. I was actually with you because you shared some concerns about Elon. I don't want to get into him so much tonight, but I'm just going to talk about what they're doing. Okay, let's talk about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. In Angeline Marie's opinion, what on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as their actions go, how do you rate the first 2.5 months of Trump's presidency and your view of things?
I would say pretty good. I believe it. I really believe that they are trying to make things better. I do have reservations about Elon and his true end game and does he really have the best interest of the country? It appears that way. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
For now.
But I do have my reservations from historical things and things in his background that I know. But I would say overall, they're trying to do good, and they are doing good. But it's the left and the press are just, they just are trying to trash them. Anything good they do, I mean, who could be against trying to crack down on fraud and wasting the people's money? Who could be against that? But they're making it sound like, this is all bad stuff, and look what they're doing, and the Department of Education stuff. I mean, that's been a scam since, the late 70s. I think Carter brought that in. But they can't do anything good in the eyes of the left press. And unfortunately, that's who's running, the press. We don't have a truthful journalist, outside some alternative or some right people on the right. But I think that they're doing. I think they're doing okay. They're doing good.
Did you expect? We got Bill Federer coming on this week and interviewed him today, and he basically said that Ron DeSantis, your governor, who I have a lot of respect for, actually, he told the congressional leadership back at the first of the year. He told them, he said, you need to be ready to rein in the judicial court injunctions right now. Go ahead, get a bill prepared, have your bills prepared to revoke jurisdiction of these orders that are coming. His advice was ignored, as it always is. 132 legal injunctions have been launched against President Trump since day one for his agenda. And these pipsqueak lower court judges that think they can run the country did exactly what DeSantis predicted they would do, but the Congress has been caught flat-footed, and now what we're being told, they're going to have hearings again, which is going to be another waste of time. Have you in your lifetime, because I've never seen this. This is new to me. It was new to me in Trump's first term when I saw the judicial activism. And, I read most of your book, and I wondered, in your opinion, is this part of the danger that we've got in society when you've got the judiciary and judges and judiciary people sort of ruling the country? That's tyranny, is it not? I mean, that's judicial tyranny.
And it's funny because I was reading this book today, Saving the Constitution by Richard Proctor, and he was talking about the judicial power and how this whole hoodwink started in 1803 with John Marshall, Chief Justice, in Marbury versus Madison. But it just goes to show you, Chris, I mean, it's just one of the tactics. And here's the other thing. By and large, most of us are ignorant on the Constitution and all of these judicial things, so we don't know how it works really. We're just taking their word for it. And so they're able to interject anything and tell us anything. And then, when they say it enough times over the leftist media, then people start going out and they say, well, they're allowed to do this. And then, they just repeat. And so why wouldn't they take advantage of that?
Do you think that Congress is going to have the chutzpah to stop it? Do you think that this is going to... Because, see, this is what scares me. We got two ways to fight it. Congress can stop it, or it's ultimately going to wind up in a cat fight at the Supreme Court. And my faith in the Supreme Court is pretty much like a meme that I saw.
Done. Yeah.
And when
done.
it says that Jack Nicholson used to say before he retired, he said, my faith in humanity is like I look both ways on a one-way street. And Chris looks both ways on a one-way street these days. And right now at the Supreme Court, I have no faith. I have no faith that they're going to do the right thing on this. Congress, it's going to have to be these Republicans in Congress. And you know, I hate to say it. I don't have faith in them either, Angeline. I don't.
To answer your question, I think we're in trouble. Unless something comes from, you know, the Lord, something divine intervention happens.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised. Let's put it this way. If Congress does step in and do what they should do, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. Your book talks a lot about the nation being a nation of death. I want you to speak on that tonight. That's another thing that I pray President Trump is reversing. He has basically removed all the federal money from abortion clinics. He's done everything he can to remove this perverse practice of men and women's sports, this transgenderism, this militarism. He's declared these domestic terrorist groups exactly what they need to be. We've seen the horror of Hamas in Israel. We're seeing these protests on our campus that is basically glorifying death. They're glorifying the destruction of nations and just, basically so anti-Semitic. Just, you know, calling for the death of a race of people. But Angeline, the thing is that if we allow them to call for the death of Jews, ultimately they're going to call for the death of Americans. They're going to call for our death. Some people don't get that. This is not about just some good old fashioned Jew hating talk. No, this is an uprising in our nation, and if we don't confront this culture of death, we're not going to be a nation. And I want you to speak to that a little bit, because I think you pointed that out very well in your book, that the globalist elite, they wanted chaos and they want death. They glee in death. That's why we've had a 3-year nonstop war in Russia and Ukraine without any intervention from the world. Have you noticed that nobody in the world has ever called both sides together until now? Trump is the only leader in 3.5. Europe has not been doing nothing but demonizing Putin. It's always, we got to give Zelensky money, give him weapons, give him money, give him weapons, let him stand up to the Russian bear. And all they've done is just fed this war, fed it. That's all they've done. In many cases, it's what America did with Hamas and Israel. Look, Israel could have wiped Hamas off the map. If it would have had the full backing of the United States government, Hamas would have been just a little ant on a dirt pile tonight. But because there's no moral clarity, and we've got a culture of death, the globalist elites, they just love war. They want to see 1 million dead on each side. They want the population decreased. That's why we had COVID-19. That's why we have the vaccines destroying and killing people. We've got Robert F. K. Jr. And I know people may not like Robert F. K., but I tell you what, I don't care what his spirituality is. That's between him and God. But one thing that me and RFK will be fully on board with together is that these vaccines were nothing but a depopulation killer. And we better come to grips with these same people who want to kill us tonight, buddy. But Trump's the only one that's brought Ukraine and Russia at least to the table. Tonight we got a ceasefire in the Black Sea. What's your thoughts on that?
They'll find something wrong with that. Well, getting back to the reason why every pillar of our society is basically in the toilet is because early on we gutted God out of our country. And so now we are reaping what we have sown. And until we stand up and we change that, we can't change. You can only do so much with political or financial or education. But I think the people of God need to stand up and be more vocal to make and see real spiritual foundational change in this country. And that will be the only thing to turn things around, Chris. Yeah,
I know. And I just, I don't know how that's going to be other than spiritual. Are you, how do you feel about these illegals? We talked about that a little bit today, yesterday. In your opinion, do they have rights under our Constitution, in your opinion?
No, because they're illegal. They came in illegal. They're not citizens. So they don't have rights covered under the Constitution.
Right.
But when you tell the leftist students, the ones that are out protesting, which I don't even believe a lot of those protests are organic, I think those are paid hacks to go out there and cause trouble. And with the media backing them up, that's what fuels these fires. And so when you keep repeating these things, especially to these young people, you know, they believe it. They just mimic what they're hearing from the press.
We have had 4 years of the darkest time, I believe, in our country we've ever had. In your humble opinion, what is the worst thing that you saw during those 4 years under Biden that really, because there was a lot to me that I didn't ever question.
That's a hard one to answer, just one thing.
I didn't question my faith, but I tell you, I did question whether we were going to make it 4 years under him. I really was not sure we were going to get through this. And I tell you, I think if everybody's honest out there tonight, we all held our breath on November the 5th. We were holding our breath. Because, look, I go back to this thing with our nation tonight. Our nation is just in a place, Angeline, I was thinking, God, can we be this dark? And have we reached this place of darkness that we would put Kamala Harris over the nation and Tim Walz? I mean, would we put two as evil and wicked individuals as we've ever seen in our lifetime running for office over us? And thank God the country didn't. We came this close, buddy, from losing our souls.
Early on, it was 50-50. I think she easily could have gotten in. But then I think things happened towards the end, and they saw how incapable she was. And then maybe they started, you know, to say, well, maybe this isn't the way to go. And then they were comparing when he was in office to Biden. And so I think that also helped us basically get over the finish line. But I still think we're close to a 50-50 split in this country.
Who are the global players on the stage right now in our country, do you think, that are pulling the strings behind this cabal? Because, look, I believe there's a cabal. I know people don't think I do, but I believe there's a cabal. I just know that the Bible is pretty clear on what's coming. I don't lose sleep over it at night. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again child of God tonight. I know who I believe in. I know that Jesus Christ is coming. I know that it doesn't matter how dark the earth is going to get. The Christians, if they will trust God, they will get through whatever time is coming. But I'm just talking politically here. But I don't
think we know all that. I mean, obviously, the people at the top aren't in this country. And then the next rank, I think, is the WEF and the WHO. And then as far as in this country, I think there's people probably in the Senate and the House that we don't even know that are on the payroll. People in the intelligence agencies that are there to thwart and do different things. I think we don't know who all the players are. Now, if you just look and you say, okay, well, could it be Elon? You know, could it be people that we see facing every day? But I think a lot of these people that have the most clout and the most power, Chris, are the people behind the curtain. I don't think they're the people we see. They're the people we don't see and that we don't hear from that I believe have the most power.
Do you think Trump's got the power to put a pause to that? Do you think he'll pause that for a season while he's in office?
I don't think Trump has the power himself. If he has the power, it's through God. I think
I'll
God
agree with
is
that.
giving him...
When I say Trump, I mean the Lord through Trump, yes.
So anything's possible there. We don't know what the outcome's going to be at the end of the day there. But, yeah, I think he definitely, if that's the steps that are laid out for him, I think he could be successful.
Your book, you said you wrote it about a year and a half ago. What led you to write the book? I'm curious.
I read it. I wrote it. I started writing it in 2019, just before the pandemic. I had wanted to write a book about these things, gosh, for like 20 years. And finally I sat down and started writing, and then the pandemic hit. So I even have a chapter towards the end called The Pandemic Chronicles, where I do talk a little bit about that. But I just saw everything that was going on in the world was just making me so physically sick. And I just felt this calling that this was something I had wanted to do. And I felt like the Lord was saying, okay, well, it's time to do it. And it's funny, Chris, because the original book wasn't going to be Souless Society. It was going to be politics and religion, the two things that they don't want you to discuss and why you should.
Wow, that's good.
So I started writing because it was going to be about church and state and how we need to speak up, at the local level. It's not necessarily just, federal and state politics, but we need to be involved locally. But then as I started writing, the Lord changed the whole thing. And it was like, we're going to hit all of the pillars of society. So we talk about health, finance, education. I talk about the central bank. We talk about religion. We talk about the church, the 501c3. I hit all these different things. And then at the end, I kind of weave it. And a lot of your audience probably knows a lot of this stuff, but one of the people that interviewed me kind of summed it up. He said it's a real good primer for people that, because let's face it, I know I come in contact with people all the time that aren't necessarily religious or spiritual or Christian, but they know something's wrong. All you have to do is be alive in this world, and people are going crazy, and something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And that is really who I think would get the most out of this book. So I always tell people like your audience, if you get the book, you read it, and you give it away to somebody like that I'm talking about. And I thought people were going to roll their eyes, but you would be surprised how many people are open to reading something like this when they know something's going on, but they can't quite figure it out.
No, I didn't roll my eyes at it. I'm going to tell you something. It's a very well-written book, and I compliment you on it. It encompasses a lot of society. It really does encompass a lot of issues that are legitimate concerns as we move forward in time. And, that's the thing we don't know, Angeline, tonight. We don't know how much time we've got before this thing wraps up spiritually. I do want to ask you a question. Folks, by the way, we're talking to my dear friend, Angeline Marie. She's TruthSeekersRadioShow.com. Got that right. And she's got a special offer for you tonight before we leave. Souless Society, but she's also part of K-Star Radio Media. And my dear friend, and they were so gracious to give us the 2 to 3 time slot in the afternoons, and I've been so grateful for them. Where's the state of the church right now in this country, as you see it? I know that when we say the church, we're talking about there's 2 churches on this earth. There's a true church. The true church is healthy.
Yes.
But the apostate system is not. And the apostate system, I'm afraid, is sadly what we see with our eyes. And many people confuse the two, and they don't need to, because there is a true church on the earth, buddy. But that apostate system is destroying the faith of millions.
It's falling apart right now before our eyes. I won't mention any names, but you see every day another pastor, another church, that things are going on that shouldn't be going on, Chris.
Yeah.
So just as the Lord is revealing maybe through Trump a lot of the stuff that's been going on in our government, the Lord is revealing this nasty church that needs to be taken down.
Yeah.
And replaced with the real church.
I think one of the greatest sins that has been covered up is the sins against children. And this pedophilia in the church, I think God is ripping the scab off of it. And it is ugly. It's going to get uglier.
I knew it was there. I mean, I suspected, especially with Catholic Church, but I had no idea.
On the Protestant side.
I had no idea how bad it is.
You know what I think? It's just a thought. By the way, folks, I'm going to go ahead and open the... we got Angeline for about 15 more minutes or so, 10 or 15. If you got a question for her, a question about the night show, anything in her book, if you've read her book, if you've got her book, please put it in the chat room, or any question about the country. We'll say... Ask Angeline. We'll stump Angeline tonight. This will be Stump Angeline Tuesday night on the McFiles Early Bird. I know you're thanking me for that. But seriously
but before I run out of time,
you got plenty of time. Go ahead.
I want to give away 3 books.
Okay.
So if if anybody has an interest, I don't know if I can get this on camera. Do you have the book there?
I do. Go ahead and show yours. I see it right there. Let me get my
So
copy.
this is the book, and if anybody might be interested, the first 3 people that would email me at Angeline at k-starmedia.com. That's Angeline at k-starmedia.com. The first 3 people that email me there, request the book, give me your name and address, and I'll send it to you for nothing. The only thing I would ask is that if you have an Amazon account, when you're done reading it, if you would please just put a review, because the book's not going to do well without reviews, and actually reviews is really the most important right now. So I would really appreciate it if anybody that's interested, you can have a free copy and just write a review. And an honest review. I'm not asking for you to write necessarily something you don't believe about the book. So
Yeah.
thanks, Chris.
That's good. No, I'm grateful that you can do that. I'm going to go back to the pedophilia thing. I got to say this, and I don't say this lightly. The church for decades, the Protestant church, has always been judgmental of the Catholics. And look, there ain't a thing in the Catholic faith that you can look to that I would point to tell you I believe doctrinally. Nothing. And I think this cover-up of these priests and what they've done to these children through the years has been absolutely demonic. It's hideous. But the Protestant church has been guilty of the very same thing, but we have been very judgmental of the Catholics. And I think what's happening, we're reaping what we're sowing. We're being judged by the very thing that we judge them on. Same exact blindness, Angeline, that the Gentile church is saying, well, Israel's blind, Israel's blind, Israel's blind. And you look at the state of affairs behind the pulpits in this nation tonight, and you look at the spiritual state of Christians. You've got Christians that don't even open their Bible, can't even tell you where the book of Ruth is in their Bible, can't even tell you where the book of Jeremiah is, or Ezekiel, or Daniel, or any of the books. They don't even know if there's 2 testaments, 1 testament. They can't tell you how many books. They can't tell you what book is, what each book's about. They can't even tell you who wrote the Bible. They can't even tell you 5 things about the Bible that are correct. And they're
A lot
just
of the church is entertainment center.
It's
like Entertainment Sunday.
But let me tell you what we've done. Israel brought that blindness on herself by her rejection of Christ. The Gentile church has done the exact same thing. Yes. You reap what you sow. And I think we're reaping some of this pedophilia exposure tonight. We're reaping because we did not, we were not compassionate to these victims of the Catholic Church. And instead of being compassionate and understanding of what was going on, we let it go on. And we judged Catholics, and I'm not giving Catholics a pass. I'm not giving the Protestants a pass. But you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow in that. And I think that's what's happening. It's a deadly plague in the church. And I don't think we've even touched the surface of it. And I might as well go ahead and say it. It's my show because they won't get you in trouble for this. They'll get me in trouble. So I'll just go ahead and say it. A lot of this stuff is homosexual sex behind pulpits. A lot of this is a spirit of perversion, where churches have been ordaining homosexuals and lesbians, transgenders coming into our youth group, basically parading themselves around with youth groups as entertainment. Churches allowing this perverted spirit, these yoga mats in churches, this new age occultism behind pulpits, these people that, again, have no doctrinal stance, have no doctrinal grounding, have no doctrinal truth to them. Now, you'll hear this tomorrow on the radio show, so when you're listening behind the scenes, you say, like, I never heard that before in my life, McDonald. That's the best thing you've ever said in your life. But what I'm saying, though, is that when you lose your soul as a church, society's going to lose their soul, too. Is that correct, my buddy?
That's right. That's a soulless society.
That is a soulless society. All righty, let me see what we got here. Let's see what kind of question, anything we got. So, well, we just got a lot of amens. We got a lot of amens and so forth. Let me go over to Facebook.
Have you been promoting your own show?
I have.
The radio show?
The radio show, yeah.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know you can listen to Chris weekdays now, 2 p.m. Eastern on kstartalkradio.com, or also you can go to talkstreamlive.com and look for K-Star, and you can listen on your phone.
Dennis Floyd's asking a question. Is there a minimum age for the presidency at 35? She's 36, Dennis. She's 36. She's old enough.
Because I remember when she was like 28,
Yeah.
she was talking about being president, and they said, well, you're not old enough yet. I remember that when she first got in.
But that was the key word, yet.
Right. Right.
Do you think that she has any inkling that she can do this? Do you believe? I mean, let me rephrase that question. Does she
pumping her up?
Okay.
You can't send somebody out there with no confidence. So you've got to lie to them and instill in them for years that they can do it, and we're going to be behind you, and we'll have little earpieces in your ear so we can just chirp in your ear, and whatever you hear, you repeat. Don't worry about it. We got your back. To me, you have to have some confidence to carry that out.
I'll agree with that.
And I'm sure they're priming her right now.
My neighbor here in the mountains, Mountain Warrior, good to see you tonight. She says, do you think that Trump is quieter, subdued, and more very focused on the things he has been doing than he was before? I'll answer that first part. I do. I see a different man.
I see a change.
I have seen a change too. Have you?
He's more subdued all around. He still will say what he thinks, but he just does it different. He's not as loud and, boisterous as he was. To me, he's more subdued now.
Yeah. Buddy, we got about 5 minutes, and if I get another question, I'll give it to you. But I'm going to give you the last 5 minutes of the show, and I want you to just wrap us up with your own thoughts. And I'm so grateful you're with us tonight. Don't want to be the last time. And again, I want to just say publicly thank you and the K-Star radio people for having faith to put us on air at 2 to 3 in the afternoons right now, and I've been enjoying it. And as of now, we'll stay on that time slot. If Chris gets to the point that these naps, I'm missing my nap, Marie, I'm just going to have to go to a late night show, because I've always joked about it. If Jesus comes between the hours of midnight and 5 o'clock, Chris is going to be up there. I'm going to be ready to go. Now, if Jesus comes between 6 in the morning and 10 in the morning, you're going to have to call me up and say, Jesus is here. Get up, get up, get up. But final thoughts tonight on the McFiles Tuesday night early bird. It's good to have you.
Well, like I said in the book, everything looks like gloom and doom, and it is. I mean, that's the physical world that we live in. But we know that there's hope in Christ, and I believe that the remnant needs to come to terms with their authority in Christ and who they really are to be ready, and that is part of putting on the armor of God in the end days. Because, Chris, I think we're going to start seeing things that we never thought we would see. And when I say that, I don't mean just in a geopolitical sense. I'm starting to think we may see things manifesting from the spiritual coming into the physical that would take our breath away. Things that we would never expect we would see in these evil times. I just really believe that. And I think we have to know how to handle situations that way. And so I think that's why it's important to be in the Word of God, know who we are in Christ, and get that armor on and ready. And that's our hope. Our only hope through all this is our hope in Christ.
This question is not to put you on the spot. It's just an opinion question. Of all of Trump's cabinet members, this is from me, who do you think is the most likely to betray him, and who do you think is the least likely to betray him? Because in every administration, I think that there's always a Benedict Arnold in everybody's story. Who do you think is the most likely that we probably will be seeing with a knife in Trump's back before this is over? Just curious. There ain't no right or wrong answer.
The first name that came to my mind was J.D. Vance.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm not saying, I think he's got a lot of great, he can wrestle with the journalists. He speaks so eloquently. He's smart. He's got good presence. But I don't know why, Chris, he came to my mind.
Okay.
And there again, maybe it's because I know a little of his background. But I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong too on that one. I got a lot of faith in you.
You've ever thought Mike Pence would have done what he did?
That's a great.
That one took me by surprise.
Same here, and I'm with you 1,000,000%. I know there was a lot of people out here because there was videos that started surfacing about 4 years in of him doing some very nasty things, and I never was on board with all that. But there was something about Pence at the end that I saw him more of a swamp creature than I ever saw him as Donald Trump's vice president.
I thought he was a swamp creature from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm a smart person. There was just something in me that said, there's something not right about this guy.
Well, and that's why, again, back in those days, I was just getting into this a little bit, and I was probably a little naive at the beginning. But I tell you, it's hard right now, and I'm just...
So who do you think it is? Who's going to be the Judas?
Tulsi.
Now, that wouldn't shock me at all, because
Tulsi.
when she turned, and all of a sudden I saw her all over Fox, I thought, something's not right here.
Yeah, I don't trust her past this camera. I just don't. I got a dear friend, James Akers. He's coming back from Europe tomorrow. We're going to get James on soon. He's a former analyst with the CIA. He loves her to death. But I got a dear buddy, James R. He used to live in Hawaii. Me and him, we share a complete distrust of Tulsi Gabbard.
But she's a good speaker. She presents well. She looks good. She's got all those things. She sounds like, she's really conservative now. Same thing.
And I would say this about RFK Jr. He is of the same cloth, but the thing with RFK is I think he actually appreciates what Trump did for him and sticking his neck out. Because, this is the thing about RFK. If it would not have been for Trump, he would not have got nominated because Trump stayed with him. He didn't need RFK. He had probably 20 people to run the Department of Health that if he got beat or he got not nominated, Trump could say, hey, I did my best, put you out there. They just didn't vote on you. Well, I appreciate you trying. But he really stuck with him through this process, put his weight behind these senators. And I really believe RFK Jr. is going to repay him. I just think, I hope that the pressure of the Dems don't get to him eventually, because I think he is so diametrically opposed to Trump on everything else but this health issue. And you just makes you wonder when you see him in those cabinet meetings and Trump's just hammering this conservative value stuff. And RFK, the Kennedys ain't conservative. I just hope that don't weigh on him eventually. But my money's on Tulsi.
No, he knew what he was getting into.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Well, buddy, excellent time tonight. Thank you so much. Folks, don't forget, 3 people, Angeline at k-starmedia.com. You get a copy of her book. I got it right here. I very strongly encourage it. And go to Amazon. Let's just do this. Let's do it by faith. I don't care if you read the book or not. The Mac man is commanding. I've never commanded them to do anything. I've never told them. I'm commanding you as the bear man tonight to go to Amazon and put a good review in for Souless Society. No, I'm just kidding. Do it as you feel led to do it. But seriously, I hope that people do. Buddy, thank you so much. Listen, I'll see you tomorrow on the dial, on the kstartalkradio.com dial 2 to 3. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. Any final thoughts real quick? I'm going to let you go from here. I'm going to say goodnight
thank you so much, Chris. Have a good night.
See you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Everybody put some fire in that house for Angeline Marie. We're grateful to have her tonight, and we're not done with a Tuesday night McFiles. I need to get this ready. I got to get this queued up. My elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. I got to get that queued up because we got a new show to do. It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to take about a 40-minute break and come back. I got an interview I did with Bill Federer today. I'm really tempted to play it. It's about a 40-minute length interview. And we've got Alice Linehan recording her Thursday. But Bill Federer is going to be with me one of these nights this week, one way or the other. And we got some breaking news tonight we're going to share with you later. We got some video. No duck outfit tonight. No, maybe not no bear. I looked at that video. I was looking at still shots of that duck outfit Friday night. I promise McDonald wasn't drunk, okay? McDonald wasn't drunk. But it was pretty funny. The Friday quack night. And we've had a lot of emails that people appreciate it. They said, Chris, we needed the laughter. They said, we needed a break. Everything's been so serious. Thank you for making us laugh a little bit Friday night. And I make myself laugh. I still laugh at it when I look at it. And we broke both hats out. We had the duck hat and the bear hat. Not tonight, maybe later this week. But we're going to be in Dayton, Ohio. We're going to be Dayton, Ohio on Friday night. I did the flyer for it tonight. And we'll be talking about it, especially tomorrow night on the Face Show. But there it is. We got Friday night at 7, Saturday 10, 2, and 5 at the Gabriel Event Center, 7215 Taylorsville Road, Dayton, Ohio, 45424. Fellowship, teaching, communion, prayer, encouragement for the days ahead. Friday night, we're going to be dealing with the future of Israel and the church. You don't want to miss that. Saturday morning, Israel and the church, Romans 8, 9, and 10. The afternoon session, we're going to be dealing with the spirit of Haman. And then Saturday night, we're going to do a special teaching about the tabernacle and America. Now, all those matters are subject to change depending on how long-winded Chris gets Friday night. We may be on the future of Israel and the church all weekend. But whatever session you can come to, please come. If you can come for the morning session Saturday, we're going to feed you lunch, fellowship with you. We're going to have communion together Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. And then we're going to let you get out here. There's severe weather coming into the Midwest, and should the weather turn bad, we will adjust that schedule. We're not going to keep you there. If you're in the greater Southwest Ohio area, northern Kentucky, eastern Indiana, central Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, the islands of the sea, Washington State, Maine, Arizona, California, come on over. Come on over. It's just a skip and a jump. Come on. Come on. Be with us this weekend. And we hope to see you. We may talk about this symbol. I don't think we've ever talked about the symbol on a teaching, the one new man symbol. That might be something cool. We're going to have some handouts for you. We got some gifts for you. We never come empty-handed. And we're going to feed you. We're going to fellowship with you. We're going to hug your necks. Yeah, hug your hands, shake your necks, something like that. Make you feel welcome. So many ways to treat you that you'll like some of them. But we'll have a good time. We'll have our books and our music available for you to get. And we'll be giving some gifts away for those of you that can. Our Dayton, Ohio's Prophecy Conference number 2. We're looking forward to you being with us this weekend. And I will look for you back here tonight, here in about a half hour, 40 minutes. We're not going to be long tonight. Famous last words, right? We'll be here till 1 o'clock probably, me saying that. But listen, hope you have a good evening. We got a lot of breaking news to cover with you tonight. And probably we're going to play this interview with Bill Federer. So if you want a history lesson, can't talk. If you want a history lesson on the judicial activism of the judges, come on back tonight. Talk about it. Race some cane again. Put some fire in that house for Angeline Marie. Wasn't she great tonight? So grateful for her. See you back here in a little while on the news side. Good night, everybody.